Do COVID-19 restrictions work?
I think most things are working. I find the contact tracing seems to work pretty well. I've run events for work where I've had to list people and get all their contact information, and it gives me a lot of peace of mind to know that if something were to come up, I would be able to contact everybody or turn it over to people who can help out. I think that's a really good thing for us to be doing.
Oh, definitely they are. You can see it here, right here in PEI. You know what I mean? How things are going with us. We are an island. If we keep her shut down, we'll do all right.
I think for sure whenever we do the whole lockdowns in a way where they cut down our circle groups to 5 people, I find whenever we get a cluster and then they cut it down to a smaller group, they start to go away again. But whenever they kind of open it back up months later and our circles get bigger, it randomly comes back in different waves. So I find bringing things down is helping it a lot.
Well, I think the only way to really limit the growth in cases is to limit social interactions, and so any public health measure that would reduce social interactions is going to help decrease the number of cases that are happening. So I guess in my view, anything to do that keeps us within a sustainable amount of cases would be, and helpfully manage it would be good.
I think for PEI they sure are. Yeah. I think that it was really smart to have the lockdown last March. I know it was tough on businesses, but I think we've benefited in the long run compared to other provinces.
I think that the 14-day self-isolation seems to work really well. So when people are visiting the province and they have to then quarantine for a certain amount of days before they can come out of quarantine, just to make sure that if they did have the virus, they can, not spread it. That seems to be working well too. So I would say those are the two biggest ones that seem to be working well on the province.
I think the stay-at-home orders will always help, and just social distancing, masks, and vaccinations.
I think it's all, it all plays a part in working together. I think we need all those things. So I don't think one is really more important than the other. I think they all need to be in place in order for us to stay safe here on PEI.
I think the numbers are in place for a reason. I would like to see, my father just passed about a month ago, and it was very difficult dealing with everything, not being able to be with family members, keeping distance, isolating separately and whatnot. There was no, other life events are happening no matter what, and to be denied access to family and whatnot during these times makes it rough, but understand the restrictions are in place for a reason, so just hoping it all blows over sooner than later, yeah.
It's obvious that it has been. There's still been a spike of cases, a couple every now and then, but I feel like if we weren't taking all of those precautions, we would be like the other provinces, like the other countries, that it's much worse than it is here. I think it's helping.
The gathering numbers, I think, is a big one, because the more you limit people, the less you're going to spread, but I think that's a big one.
These restrictions are so confusing and confounding, and they got all these stipulations, right? It's either open it up completely or close it down completely, but these targeted measures that seem to be going nowhere because we're just looping back into lockdown after non-lockdown, and if we want to curb it, just do a harsh one, just a bad one where it's just 2 weeks of absolutely nothing.
Yes, definitely. The COVID-19 restrictions are working. Certainly we see their effects when the restrictions are in place versus now that the phase 2 restrictions were lifted, and Alberta has now obviously seen an uptick in cases. So yes, they definitely do work, and they definitely make a positive difference. Now, that being said, with more shots in arms being administered, I think that we will find that restrictions may not be as necessary as we move forward with the deployment of the vaccine. It'll definitely make a good positive effort.
They're not working yet. Part of it is I don't believe they're severe enough. I think that what Australia, New Zealand did was very effective, a complete and total shutdown for a number of months, and they're back to so-called normal now. So I think that would have been much more effective here as well, although the issues with borders is a bit different, so we are not an island. So I think that if they got really strict, very strict, for a month, I think we'd be doing much better at it.
The lockdowns? No, I don't believe they do.
Can you elaborate on that? Do you think the lockdown?
Because they're preventing herd immunity. The same, but I think our vulnerable need to be protected, but anybody who's healthy, and never in history have we locked down healthy people before when there's been a pandemic. So why are we doing it now? And why are our rights and freedoms being violated?
Well, not really. I am not enthusiastic about the measures and about the result. It's 1 year and 1 year and a half. I don't know. Well, the same measures, locking down again and again and opening and opening, and I don't see the point.
They work if people pay attention. I think if people paid attention, we wouldn't be where we are today. I think a lot of people thought that they were invincible, and they're finding out they're not invincible.
The restrictions today in Alberta? No, I don't think they're working that great. Honestly, I think there's some issues in schools right now, and I think we need to really keep an eye on it. So it's, remains to be seen, but there's been so much up and down with them and so much uncertainty. I'm not certain that they actually are working, but I do sympathize a little bit because there are tough decisions to make. So,
do you think we should go harder or less?
I think we could go a little harder, a little bit, yeah.